Here we go again. Why is Rodney always talking about my Cowboys? Yeah, but we also talk about race relations in our country, road rage, and the rumble at the post office.
I was talking to this young man in the barbershop. They were in there having their debate on the Dallas Cowboys. I was just listening to them, just listening to them. And then, after the guys he was talking to left, then he started talking to me. He said, "Yeah, I'm glad he gone. He always liked to argue about stuff." Yeah, And so we got to talking, and he said, "Are you a Cowboy fan?" I said, "Far from it, brother." So we got to talk about some. You don't like CD Lamb? I said, "Hell no." I said, they did all this stuff. I said, he can't even get separation. He just like Michael Irvin. He couldn't outrun nobody. I said, come to think of it, all them 88s have been slow as hell. Drew Pearson was slow. That boy, that fool that they had, he's from Lufkin, Texas. I can't even think of his name down there. I said, he couldn't get no separation. That's why they let him go. Now, I thought C.D. Lamb was going to come in here and be out running folks, He said, so you don't like Oklahoma, do you? I said, nope. So we just got to talk about that. So we ended up getting into the political thing. He started, I forgot how we even got there, but he was talking about, he was like, well, we've come a long way. Things have changed. I said, really? Have they? I said, you're talking about some cosmetic thing, but the same principle is still happening. I said, hey, when they did the civil rights movement and all that, they were just, cops was killing up black folks, doing all kind of stuff. I said, they've been doing that from days on end. I said, aren't they still doing that? I said, has it really changed? I said, he kind of messed me up. I said, we started talking about Lil Wayne. I said, I can't believe that little gremlin talking about he ain't never faced racism before. You down there in New Orleans, Louisiana. I know damn well your ass done faced some racism. And this little young black man, he said, no, I don't think I've ever experienced that. I went to school with white people. I said, hell, so did I. But these folks got it a little twisted. I said, have you ever applied for a job and wondered why you didn't get it? Nah, ever since I've been up, I've been cutting hair. I was like, oh, okay. I guess you wouldn't, because you always gonna have some clientele with the brothers cutting some hair. So,
oh yeah.
But I said, just you can't be black in this country and not ever have experienced the bias and racism that goes on. I said, you probably just was too young to know it. You didn't understand why mom and them, when y'all went on a trip, had to pull to the side of the road and eat bologna sandwiches because you couldn't get into the restaurants and stuff, But, hey, that's his experience. I wasn't trying to knock it, but I know that's BS.
Yeah. As years go on, those kind of experiences are going to be less and less, current in the minds of the kids, and it's sort of funny. You was talking about that. I found out, toward the end of last year that they have a black student union at my old high school.
Yeah, I saw your picture, man. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And I went over there and talked to them and stuff and everything. So you probably saw in the article I was saying, she was, the reporter asked me about, what my, how I felt about the student union in light of what we tried to do back in 75 when we were denied the same thing. I said, well, one part of me, I'm really glad for these students to be able to do it, even though the teacher that really got it started is a white teacher. She's married to an African guy, but she's the one that got it started. I said, but then again, there's another part of me that thinks, here we are 47 years later, and they finally get a black student union, you would think at this point in time we wouldn't need a black student union.
There you go.
That we would, all be on an equal basis, so we wouldn't have to worry about having to foster our needs or those students' needs in this case, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think when you look at situations like that, you're like, yeah, well, how far have we come?
Yeah,
just
the names and the quotes and all of that have changed, but they're still the same. I mean, look, you got damn DeSantis down there talking about there was no academic value in having black AP classes and stuff. I mean, have we really changed? And but the little sister I was watching The View the other day, and the little girl that was on The Bachelor and all that, and but anyway, she sat in for the other sister on there, and that's when the subject came up, and they were talking about DeSantis and all of that, and she was saying, yeah, they were saying, well, that's just not right, and this da. When she had her turn, she said, it's just blatant racism. That's what it is. Call it what it is. It's racism. She ran down a list of, they had some things to do with Chinese culture and all the cultures. She said all the cultures are represented here of something that they're teaching in school, except for the African people.
Mm-hmm.
That's just blatant racism. I said, you called it. That's exactly what it is. And DeSantis, he's just trying to feed to his racist base.
Well, yeah,
trying to steal Trump's folks so he want to get elected and all that. But that's why it's hard for me to hear somebody black say they don't know what racism is. And I'm like, it's in your face every morning when you walk out that door. You have to think about that shit, whether you're driving or walking. The case that something might go down with you are great. Just by being in this place, man. You can be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's anybody can be in the wrong place at the wrong time, but it always seems to be us. And so we feed the stereotype, shooting up each other. You shooting up people over territory, your ass, you'll never own. You don't pay no taxes. This is my hood, please.
But I mean, and I think that's what's as much frustrating as anything else too, is that, we sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. When it comes to things like that, and sort of, some of us perpetuates that bias, and that doesn't help either. But I guess it's just like anything else. I mean, you're going to have situations where people are going to target you just based on the way you look.
Yeah.
And I think that's, not only with blacks, with a lot of different races, whether it's Asians or whoever, or religion, things of that nature. But that's just sort of where our country has gotten to the point. In a lot of cases, we don't look past that outward appearance. We don't get to know people for people. I was in the post office the other day and waiting in line, and this guy was up there at the window talking to the girl, and it sounded like he had like a post office box in Texas. He was trying to, I don't know if he was trying to close it or whatever, but she was saying, that's in Texas, and everybody has their own rules on how they manage that kind of thing. You need to call and talk to them. And he said, yeah, well, I tried to call them, and shit, they don't even call you back. And well, there was another guy, and he was two white guys. The guy that was standing in line right in front of me, he said, well, you need to watch your language. And I'm sort of like, oh, excuse me. And so the guy sort of, because when he said that, he almost turned back to looking sort of like at us a little bit, and then he almost like he didn't catch what the guy said at first. So he sort of smiled and left a little bit and said, yeah. And then he said, and you need to mind your own business. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Yep. So he turned around, he talked to the girl at the window again, and she said, yeah, you need to call them, keep calling them, and because they're the only ones that can help you. So the guy said, okay. So he walked away. He took about 3 or 4 steps, and he turned back toward the guy again and said, and you need to mind your own business. And he kept walking out the door. So the guy that was in line walked up to the window next and gave, I don't know if it was one of those change of address cards, but he just handed the girl a card and said, is everything on there right? She said, yeah, everything was okay. So he walked away, and I was next up, and I walked up to the window, and And the girl said, "Well, I don't. No, I had to be back up a little bit. When the guy turned around, and told him, you need to mind your own business. The guy said, well, there's kids in here, and you're cussing." And yeah, there was a guy in there with a little child in a baby carrier that may have been 3 or 4 months old. So I don't know that he would even know what that meant. But anyway, he said, but that's right. He said that yeah, there's kids in here, and you're cussing. So like I said, the guys turned around again and mind your own business, started to walk out. So I walk up to the window. The girl said, well, I don't think that was so bad. My dad was in the Marines. I hear a lot worse than that. And the guy that was with the little kid in the car carrier, he looked at me and said, yeah, but these days and time, it just seemed like, everybody's, on edge. You just, you can't talk about things civilly. And I said, yeah, you're right. And about that time, I hear the guy that was standing in line said, it is my business. I live in Murfreesboro. It is my business. He's going outside. And the guy that said, was at the window, said, shit, he's standing outside and looking like, wait a minute, and I'm thinking, is there going to be a fight out here in the parking lot of the post office? But yeah, this is my business. This is my town. I live here. Shouting and we all now, we're still inside. We're all looking out the window, out the door, now trying to figure out what's about to happen. Something going to go down. And I said, yeah, it's just these days and time, it seemed like we just, so quick to fly off, But yeah, I said, damn, it's going to be a damn fight in the post office.
Yeah.
But
The part of the problem is that people don't know how to mind their own damn business. You can't govern nobody else in that. I mean, it's one thing if he's in there slinging FUs and MFs and all that kind of stuff, if you choose to say, hey, man, you ought to hold it down or whatnot. But, that's that entitlement that a lot of these folks have. Like they can tell you about what you need to do,
yeah.
But that to me is the Karen syndrome that they got now. They think they can tell you everything what to do. Well, you're not supposed to be walking on the sidewalk, I have all the empathy in the world for somebody who's innocently and somebody's abused them and they ain't doing nothing. But for them little old suckers that want to stick their nose in other folks' business when it ain't even warranted, I have no empathy for them when they get their ass slammed. And but yeah, you got some that and there's too many of them now. That whoever came up with that slogan, see something, say something, has just messed these people up. But now they think they got a right to see and say anything. Think they're justified in it. But back in the day, that was justification to get your ass whipped. And mind your business.
I was, as I was thinking about it, I said, well, if there was anybody that should have had any problem, it should have been the young man there that had his baby in there, even though, like I say, the child was so small. I mean, I can see if it was a 6-7-year-old kid. Now that to me would probably been a whole different matter, but this was a baby in a car seat. I mean, he was so young.
Well,
that would be the person that you think would had a problem with it.
The majority of them wouldn't say nothing either because that kid had heard worse from them.
Yeah. And this guy, like I say, he didn't say anything other than, like I say, when I got up to the window, he just say, boy, I just don't know what's going on in the world today. I said, yeah,
That's right.
And in Tennessee, with one of them, as long as you can, say your ABCs, you can carry a gun.
Right.
You don't know who got what and who's packing what these days. I mean, they done had
a
couple of road rage killings down here in the last couple of weeks. They, asking for people's input in case they saw anything from that last couple of weeks. So you just, you got to even be more careful down here because everybody got a gun.
Yeah, it's the same way here. Everybody, anybody that can get one can shoot one.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw where, see, they've built that narrative so much that when it happens to somebody black, they automatically assume he did something and is guilty of something. But even though he shouldn't have done what he did, it was in that restaurant. It was some restaurant that they went into, and he attempted to rob it. I don't think he got nothing. Well, it didn't matter. One of the people patronizing the place shot him in the back, because from the way the picture looked, it showed the dude shooting from the table, and the guy was past him walking out. And come to find out, well, you see, people will see that and say, he deserved what he got, and all that kind of stuff. But then it comes down to he didn't. The boy didn't have no weapon on him, and this dude just killed him. So now they looking for him down there in Houston. Because they're now saying this is like a manslaughter or something.
Right, right.
And I'm like, but these folks, they think they back in the OK Corral days, man. I mean, when they first started doing the laws here, making it to where they took it from where you had to be licensed and take courses to you can just have one.
That's what they did here.
Yeah.
They did that same thing here.
Yeah. So I'm saying, well, when y'all gonna issue out the horses? Since we getting back to the OK Corral, hell, everybody need to be on their horses with their guns and stuff, man. We had a situation here where this white dude, stole something. He had his little pickup truck there. And they showed him stealing stuff out of his truck. I mean, out of another person's truck and stealing it in there. Well, the helicopter here that flies around had caught it. And they were following around. They didn't want to do the chase through the city stuff. So they just had the helicopter following. Police followed at a safe distance. And this dude pulled over to see what he had stolen. While he was out checking it out, this car pulled up behind him. And it's sad we have to say this, have to clarify. But it was two white dudes, one that was stealing and the one that pulled up. So he pulled up and pulled his gun to show this dude, to tell this dude to stop or whatever he was saying. Anyway, the white dude jumped back in the truck, took off again. So he started trying to shoot the tires. And I said, see, there had been a brother. He'd have shot him. Come to find out, the dude that was shooting, that had come up there out of nowhere, he watching the news and following the car where it was. He was a preacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was a preacher. He was shooting the tires, but anyway, when the preacher started packing their stuff, man, yeah, he got out and started shooting the tire when the boy, he told him what to do, lay down or whatever. Everybody is gun smoke now with these guns, and he jumped back in his truck and took off. And he started shooting the tires, but come to find out later on, he was a pastor. I was like, oh my God. Ain't nothing sacred no more.
No, it's not. That sounds like a story I read about this girl. Somebody stole her car. She became, the detective.
I saw that. Yeah.
You saw that? Yeah, went and found the people that stole her car and went in there and fired on them. Yeah.
Yeah, you stole my car.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's something else. Even you don't even want to make a face at nobody now because you never know when they'll come up.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you just get to the point to where you just don't know. I mean, you just try to make sure that you're not in that kind of situation best you can. If you are, try to quell things. But these days, I mean, that's why I think it's just the opposite, because everybody is packing.
That's
Instead of trying to say, hey, this it ain't worth all this. It's like, no, I'm just going to come out. I'm going to open up. That's the thing, is that nobody's wanting to try to defuse the situation. They want to take their gun out and unload on you.
Hey, everybody want to be Barney badass now.
Yeah.
I at one point I was like, I'm gonna have to start riding with my shit in the truck because I don't want to be unprepared. Only thing that deterred me is more times than not, when I'm out and about, have no intentions of going to the base, I end up on base. You can't be bringing no weapon on base.
Right.
So I'm like, because I did it once. I forgot I had it in there. So I just elected, okay, I'll leave this at home. I didn't really like carrying it anyway, because that could just escalate the situation, and everybody start thinking they invisible. And so I was like, no, it's better yet, but I don't want to be caught out there with my drawers down. You got to pull a gun on you because they'll do it in a minute. And it's wild, man. Yeah.
And I think, sometimes, if you got one, you probably would be even more, at an increased level of wanting to use it, somewhere. If you didn't, you probably would say, no, I'm just going to let it go. Ain't worth all that. But if you got it with you, it's like, well, no, I got my shit. I'm gonna let them know, And so I thought about the same thing, because I keep mine at the house.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple of times that, nothing but like the other day. I was going out to the hospital taking my uncle, and I was getting ready to turn, and I guess I didn't turn fast enough. Beep, 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 beep. I'm like, okay. Then I got out to the parking lot of the hospital. I was letting a car out in front of me so I could pull in. Car behind me, beep, 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 beep. And I threw my arms up, and I'm like, I'm waiting for somebody to pull out so I can pull it. I mean, what's the problem?
Right. Right.
And I said to myself, I said, now those are kind of situations that, if you're packing something, you might tend to put the car in park and get out and go back up there and say, look, what's your problem?
Yeah.
So I think that probably emboldens people a little bit when they got they stuck
time.
with them too.
Big time. Because I know Rosalind got mad at me one time. I was coming home. I exited off the interstate and made my little turn to come back. I was coming home, and this he looked like he was a drunk. This white dude pulled up. He was right in front of me, and he threw his hands up, and made a gesture to me, about I don't even know what it was about. I was like, what is your problem? Well, he did it, like he was bad as hell, man. He kept throwing his arms up as he was driving on. And I was like, I sped up, man, got right on his damn bumper, and we came to a stop sign. I mean, just that instant, boy, I was like, you sorry, sucker. And he made a turn like it was in a neighborhood like he was going home. I turned right about him. I said, okay, Barney. I turned right behind. Then he stopped and he's like, oh, okay, it's all right. It's all right. I'm like, no, you were bad a minute ago. I wanted to whoop his ass, boy. But then I was telling Roz about it. She was like, you don't know what he had.
Yeah.
In that car. I said, well, you got a point there. But in the heat of the moment, because I don't even know why he was throwing his hands up at me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, they ain't going to continue to do it. It's one thing to throw your hand up out of like frustration. Okay. And, but he going to turn and look back at me while I'm at the stop sign. Oh, okay, you little asshole. I pulled right up on his bumper. He turned in that neighborhood. He's like, no, it's all right. It's all right. I'm like, yeah, it's all right now, huh? But yeah.
Well, that's sort of like what happened when the guy blew at me the other day. I turned, and of course he turned right in behind me and went on up. Well, I wasn't by any means speeding up to try to get next to him or whatever. I thought going my normal speed, but it almost like he got over in the next lane, or like, here he comes, kind of thing.
Yeah,
he got over in the next lane. And I said to myself, I ain't coming after you. I'm just driving, my normal way,
Mm-hmm.
But he made sure that he stayed in front of me, a little bit ahead of me from that point on,
Yeah.
And I said, I bet he thought, coming after me now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But no, but it's funny you say that too, though, because the other night, me and Mary was coming home from, I'm trying to think if we'd been out to dinner or something. I don't know why we were coming home, just me and her. Usually when we go to dinner, it's all of us. But guy pulled up beside us, waving his arms and stuff. I said, man, there's some guy over in a Maxima waving his arms and stuff. I said, I don't know what's going on with him. I said, you know anybody that drives a black Maxima? No, I don't know anybody that drives black Maxima. I said, I don't know anybody. So they sped on up a little bit in front of us, and we got up beside him again. He's waving and carrying on. And I'm looking at him like, is that a friendly wave, or is that an aggressive wave? And I'm like, I said, just don't worry about it. I said, I don't know who it is. So we got home and we said, I don't know who that person was. I said, I don't know what their problem was either. And she went to get her car washed the other day, and the guy came out to dry her car, and he said, you didn't know who I was the other night, did you? And the man said, no. What do you mean the other night? He said, I came up beside you. I was waving at you. I said, you didn't even know who I was, did you? And man said, that was you? He said, yeah, that was me. She said, I kept thinking, I don't know anybody in the black Maxima. He said, yes, you do. That was me. I said, now see, that's a perfect example of somebody. That's what I'm saying. If I'd had something with me, you could have got shot.
Yeah.
He was, like I said, they Mary takes her car to the same place all the time, and she
Mhm.
knows the guys, really well up there, but she don't know the cars they drive.
Right.
And so she didn't
Exactly.
know that was him. But he said, "Yeah, you do. That was me." And I'm like, "See, perfect example of how something that was very innocent could have
Yep.
turned into something, bad.
Just that quick.
Just that quick,
Yeah.
just that quick." So,
Yeah.
so yeah, you just gotta keep mindful of those things because like I say, I know there's times that I'll be thinking to myself, man, there's part of you just wants to do something.
Yeah.
And the other part said, "No, what do you mean do something? Just take your ass on down the street and be done with it." Yeah, we started out 2023 with a bang, and we hope things only get better from here. We hope y'all enjoyed this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. This is Mickey G. Peace.